Hayden Christensen just said that he is in talks to return after Ahsoka Season 2, and he plans to do a Darth Vader show.
Hello there.
Hello there folks, and welcome to today's video where we have a doozy right now because Hayden Christensen and Euan McGregor coming both. They're a shotgun of a team, two barrels, just blasting us with information, and something that we've talked about, something that the fans have talked about for so long. We might have a dream come true scenario right here because we just had the Fan Expo in Boston and it concluded this weekend. So we have Hayden Christensen being asked whether he is open to returning to Star Wars, and he didn't even hesitate in his answer. We're gonna listen into Hayden Christensen's answer right in a second. Then we have Euan McGregor clearly giving us a hint that he would return or possibly make a cameo in the Ahsoka Season 2. During this also Fan Expo in Boston, McGregor reiterated once again that he would love to return alongside Hayden and don the Clone Wars armor for the first time. So he was clearly hinting at another flashback during the Clone Wars where you have a young Anakin and a younger Obi-Wan, both of them wearing Clone Wars armor, young Ahsoka with them, the trio as it were. So all of this is shaping up to be something spectacular. Let's go immediately to Hayden Christensen. So in this Fan Expo in Boston, he was asked whether he would like to return. So he was first asked about Ahsoka Season 2, his return there. Hayden already has confirmed it. In an earlier video, we said that not only was he shooting for a month now, but he will continue shooting throughout October, which means that he will be working on the show for 5 to 6 months, and that means a very extended role, not like in Season 1 where he appeared in the World Between Worlds in a flashback as his younger self and also as a Force Ghost at the end of Season 1. So this is what he said when asked what will he do after Ahsoka Season 2, would he like to return. He hinted at how he wanted a Darth Vader series or a Clone Wars live action series. He said 100% I would love to, yes. If the powers that be decide that's something that they want to see, I would be there in a heartbeat. Do it! So we've long since heard Hayden Christensen talk about an interest in a Darth Vader show. He previously shared that he believes that many of Darth Vader's stories have yet to be told. We know that he has talked to Dave Filoni about this behind the scenes. Both of them have revealed some sort of a conversation that leads to me believing this is a possibility because Darth Vader Year 1 has so many potential stories in there, so many things to tell, and it's a totally different version of what we've seen of Darth Vader. So Darth Vader has always been seen as this imposing, menacing figure, but we have seen that during the original trilogy where he has already been established. What happens when Year 1 Darth Vader, nobody knows him? We've seen the canon comics. In the canon comics, it's a totally different story, so this gives you a total different version, and I think fans would be very, very much interested in this version of a Darth Vader where he isn't established and he needs to work to gain the respect of his peers or of his subordinates, as Darth Vader would think. And this is a perfect moment for Palpatine too. Emperor Palpatine loves to push the buttons, quote unquote, no pun intended, of Darth Vader because, well, he needs to shape him up to be a maniacal Sith, and what better way to just provoke him constantly, especially with other Imperials, and more specifically, Tarkin would just take over the show as well. Both of them battling for the affection of Emperor Palpatine. It would just be great. So since Dave Filoni and Hayden Christensen have talked behind the scenes, I know that Dave is a big fan of the comics too, and Legends as well. This is kind of a version that they might have talked about. This is Year 1 Vader reintroduced into the screen, for the big screen or the small screen, to say it bluntly, for Disney Plus. That's it. So what could we see for Year 1 Vader? And I saw a lot of you in the comments talk about it as well. There's a video that I posted about Darth Vader and his suit. We're gonna go into it later on, but in the meantime, I've always talked about how Disney is lacking. This new canon has a lot of stories that are missing, and the comics of the 2018 Vader, 2017, 18, 19 Vader, those comics all refer to Darth Vader Year 1. Darth Vader Year 1 is a beast, relatively unknown within the Empire. He can virtually do and say anything because people didn't know who he was. People, even Imperials, try to assassinate him. There's a scene where Tarkin meets him for the first time and he is horrified. So all these scenes are great. Why isn't there a live-action series about Darth Vader Year 1, how he came up within the ranks of the Empire. Only Palpatine knew him, nobody else. Then he had the 501st. The 501st journeyed with him to the Jedi Temple as Anakin. Then they have this black armored beast behemoth, Darth Vader. It's very interesting, the dynamic, how Darth Vader got accustomed to his suit. So we can talk also about why didn't he upgrade his suit as well. Now perhaps in Year 1 he did something like that. So Disney, this is a petition. This video counted as a petition. As many likes as this video gets, as many comments as this video gets, this is an official petition. Show Disney in the comments how much you want a Year 1 TV series of Darth Vader. Andor was great, but now it's done. You have Ahsoka Season 2 way off, and I saw a comment, an announcement of Darth Vader Year 1 series would just break the internet. Just can you imagine for a second? Next year, we're gonna get a Darth Vader Year 1 TV series. Just stop and think about what I'm saying right now. Talk to Disney down below in the comments, and let's talk about what a scene would be where Darth Vader actually contemplates upgrading his suit in that series. While the old suit added to the pain and suffering of Vader, he dealt with it on a daily basis, it should be noted that the cause of Vader's suffering and pain was his failure to save both his mother and his wife. Those are emotions that will stay with Vader for his entire life and should be more than sufficient to fuel his anger and dark side powers. But of course, Vader wants to be all-powerful. So in a sense, keeping the old suit would make him much stronger in the dark side of the Force than a new and improved suit. This is the angle I want to go with in this video, because one thing you have to understand is that Palpatine in Legends built Vader's suit specifically faulty so that Vader would never have a rest. Vader would never relinquish the dark side. He would always be angry, not only for losing both Padme and Shmi, but also because his existence is now miserable. I believe that if Vader got a new suit, not only would he be more powerful than his regular suit, but I believe that he still would have held back against Luke in Return of the Jedi. What's crazy to think about him upgrading his suit is that in Return of the Jedi, Anakin might have still survived his ordeal with the Emperor because of his new suit, because the lightning shock would not have shut down his systems entirely, and his upgraded suit might have helped as well. I would have loved to see this in a what if series for Star Wars. They are making them now, so this would have been a great alternative to see. And in the old Star Wars Tales comic series, there is a White Vader alternative, so that would have been lovely. But let's keep the video going. I feel like Vader kept the old suit as a way to punish himself more. Maybe it also helped to insulate him from the world a bit, because with an upgraded suit, things might have turned out differently for him. He viewed himself as a monster, and the suit kind of helped him embody that role and lent to that presence. Just hearing his clomping footsteps would instill fear among the Imperials and Stormtroopers. But just think about this new suit. Also, I've seen fans speculate about the new suit as well, about an upgraded suit. No doubt Vader would have been an absolute terror to anybody with a new suit, to anybody who went up against him. This suit would have made him physically stronger, gave him more mobility, and he would have been resistant to electricity. This is the main issue and the main problem we come across, is that the old suit was specifically designed to not be insulated from electricity, and this was done intentionally, of course, by Palpatine, by Sidious, who wanted to keep his apprentice in check. Remember me saying in the beginning that Palpatine was not adherent to the old Sith traditions. He cheated at this point. With a new suit, Vader would destroy Sidious. I think that he would focus on his losses and how no matter what he did, he will never be the Anakin he once was. His physical pain wasn't even half of what pushed him so far into the dark side of the Force. In some of the novelization in the 80s, 80s, I remember reading something along the lines of, after so many years, Vader and the suit were one and the same, where metal and flesh were fused as blood, vein, and circuits. The only parts you could separate were the cape and the minor parts. Anything else could compromise and rapidly decay his zombie-like body. In the end, that armor was his link to this realm and the source of his pain, but a reminder that he was still alive. So Darth Vader's attire, of course, ranks amongst the most fascinating and symbolically potent designs in the entire Star Wars saga. It is towering, it is intimidating, and imbued with an aura of authority that perfectly matches the Sith Lord's stature. However, it also had its limitations. Of course, a prevalent question that often arises is hence the point of this video: why didn't Vader upgrade his suit? As one of the Empire's top-ranking officials, he certainly had the resources. And I think now it's the perfect time to actually find an answer. Let's provide a brief summary, shall we? It wasn't the loss of his limbs that truly incapacitated him, although it indeed impeded him and initially hampered his Force usage. The real nightmare of Vader's existence started with his burns on Mustafar. Anakin endured 4th-degree burns across almost his entire body. These burns penetrated beyond his skin, reaching his muscles, bones, and in some instances even organs. As we see, Vader has trouble breathing. His suit functioned as a portable life support system, but also served as a form of torment, deliberately designed by Palpatine as retribution for his defeat at the hands of Obi-Wan Kenobi. So Palpatine never anticipated that Vader could lose to Obi-Wan. In Sidious's view, Obi-Wan was unremarkable, he wasn't that special, and he wasn't the skilled swordsman in the Jedi Order, let alone being the all-powerful one in the Force. Nothing about Obi-Wan screamed that he could have a chance against the Chosen One. At most, Sidious regarded Obi-Wan as a mere emotional hurdle for Anakin at that time. He even says this to Yoda in Revenge of the Sith. It's somewhat surprising that Palpatine would utter such a statement, since he is primarily concerned with his own survival. So as a Sith, he is on his 3rd apprentice. Maul had subsided, Dooku was dead, and with Anakin following Maul and Dooku, in the Sith Handbook, Palpatine professes his belief that the rule of 2 ends with him. He explicitly declares his disinterest in finding a successor and aims to reign eternally, relegating Vader to just a subordinate. And if you go back and look at it, this is how he also treated his 2 other apprentices, and at no point do we get a real admittance that Palpatine would ever expect these 3 to defeat him. Darth Vader's suit barely kept him alive. This is evident in the material, providing the bare essentials for motor functions and survival, but nothing really more. The only reason why Vader was so powerful was because of his anger. Otherwise, his suit was really defective at many points. So why didn't he upgrade? Well, the answer is multifaceted kinda. A more sophisticated suit would significantly improve systems and movements, controls, but this new suit would have offered him nearly the same mobility as his old self Anakin and would have had superior auditory systems. But the first problem would have been that this new suit, even though it would have been ready and waiting for him, the process of transferring him to this new suit might have proven fatal. This is one of the reasons. The myriad of wires and systems keeping Vader alive posed a high risk of death during this procedure. Disconnecting him from the life support systems even momentarily could be proven to be disastrous. The surgical team would have had to rewire his respiratory system, his heart rate regulator, which could have proven lethal to Vader because of the time it would take. Even if Palpatine was willing to help, which I sincerely doubt, using the dark side to sustain Vader during this procedure, it would have been unlikely that it would have enhanced Vader's survival, a risk Palpatine was not willing to take. Another intriguing reason revolves around how the dark side actually functions. It feeds off pain, anger, and suffering, all of which Vader had in abundance. His very body was designed to suffer, and this continuous torment, frustration, and even sleep deprivation amplified his connection to the dark side, making him a truly unrelenting Sith Lord. Don't get me wrong, over time, Vader did did make some minor modifications to his suit, and he enhanced its practicality. Even in the comics, we constantly see that Vader's helmet keeps getting destroyed, his cybernetics at times in duels suffer, but he keeps his suit in check. This again brings us to Return of the Jedi, because whatever you want to say about Darth Vader, it kind of seems that his suit was a hindrance against the duel with his son. If Vader would have had a more enhanced suit, a modified suit, a better suit, then I think in Return of the Jedi, Luke would have stood no chance, even for a brief moment when he was fueled by the dark side. And there's another 3 months until October when Hayden Christensen finishes shooting. What does this mean? This is clearly an indication that Anakin Skywalker or Darth Vader will have a much bigger role in the next season of Ahsoka. It's as clear as day. And I think because of this gigantic shooting schedule, I think that he's playing 2 different versions. No longer will we go to the world between worlds. I don't think we're gonna visit it in season 2. We were done with it in season 1. This time Hayden is gonna play Anakin Skywalker's Force Ghost, helping Ahsoka through the journey. We all know that Baylan is going for the mother of the Mortis gods. That's what's rumored, of course, anyway. And Anakin could be a big help to this because he actually visited, together with Ahsoka, the Mortis gods and Obi-Wan in the Clone Wars Mortis arc. But another role that was featured very prominently in season 1, and I think we're going back to that, is Anakin during the Clone Wars. Anakin as a Force Ghost shooting this many scenes just doesn't make sense, because Force Ghosts are essentially used sporadically, as we've seen in the original trilogy with Obi-Wan, as we've seen now with Qui-Gon in the Obi-Wan series. He just appeared in a frame basically at the end and the series wrapped up. So it isn't much as a Force Ghost. I think there's 2 different versions. This could be very well Anakin as a Force Ghost teaching Ahsoka something, or recollecting Ahsoka a lesson that he taught when he was alive, and then we go back to young Ahsoka and Anakin during the Clone Wars and he is teaching her something. This is basically what happened in season 1, so it would make sense for us to do it again in season 2. This opens up a world of possibilities, by the way. I mean, Captain Rex, Tamora Morrison could come back as Captain Rex during Ahsoka season 2, and why not? I mean, I've been saying for a very long time that we definitely need a Clone Wars live action, at least a limited series. Why can't you do just like the Obi-Wan series, just do a 6-episode thing with live Clone Wars? All of the actors are alive, all of them could come back except for Count Dooku, of course. It would be just, I mean, spectacular. Ian McDiarmid as Chancellor Palpatine in his red office. The nostalgia, just talking about it, would leave me speechless if I ever see that during a live action remake. However, I need to say this also. A Deadline article just a month ago said Hayden Christensen teases return to Star Wars universe in Darth Vader role, because in this interview he said there's a lot of rich stories we could still tell with Darth Vader. So what does this mean?
What do you mean?
Well, let's go to Dave Filoni during this Star Wars celebration. They asked him about Anakin Skywalker. They asked him how he plans to continue the story of Anakin after his 2008 animated series and now in the Ahsoka series. He told him, and I love the respect for George, by the way, just look at how classy Filoni is here. He says, Anakin's story was already told. George did that. I don't have anything to add to that. I don't have to explain anything about it. What George did is what he wanted, and it's perfect. The story I'm telling is about Ahsoka. The reason why Anakin can be in this is because he's relative to her story. But I'm very careful in what I'm doing so that I'm not changing or adjusting anything that George did, meaning of course with Anakin. So if Dave Filoni is saying that I don't want to add or do anything with specifically with Anakin, and he's just going to add to Ahsoka's story in season 2, then beyond the Ahsoka season 2, let's say it wraps up and it's done, I don't know if there's going to be a season 3, but what could Dave Filoni possibly have to do with Hayden Christensen next? Well, Hayden kind of told us that he said there's a lot of more rich stories we could tell with Darth Vader. This is Hayden Christensen saying this, Darth Vader himself. So if Filoni is saying I don't want anything to do with Anakin, I don't want to tell Anakin stories, and if Hayden is saying there's a lot more to tell about Darth Vader, this team up would just be legendary. This is why I am adamant that we need a Year 1 Darth Vader series. The comics of Year 1 Vader from 2017 to the end end of 2019 are just spectacular. There are some of the best canon version stories of Darth Vader. It's year one, nobody knows him, and he gets ingratiated into the Empire forcefully, and then he builds his castle, and the clashes with Sidious. He learns that he can bring Padme from the dead. He accepts it. It's just beautiful storytelling. 25 issues. That could be told in a live-action series that you could interpret through the comics. The comics have already been told, but seeing those in live action, could somebody please out there raise their hand who is against this? I don't know anybody who could really say, I don't want a year one Darth Vader series from Dave Filoni and Hayden Christensen, a collab. Why not? You could have also Ewan McGregor come back as flashbacks, of course, because this is too early. Darth Vader never actually found Obi-Wan up until, as we see in the Obi-Wan series. And with Maul's Shadow Lord 2, Dave Filoni has been known to go back and tinker with these villains. Because outside of Ahsoka, I see that Dave Filoni has a tendency to revisit villains and kind of see what else can be done with them. It's exciting to see what Hayden can actually do in the Star Wars universe now that he's back. And I think he is back for real. Dave Filoni can actually make a difference. This is why I'm kind of pet peeved and I'm furious with Kathleen Kennedy, because there's literally a fraction within Lucasfilm. Dave Filoni is trying to do anything he can with the stories that he has, with the characters that he has, while Kathleen Kennedy is out there renting Star Wars out to people. Whoever can come in wants to tell their story and use these characters, and we saw what Rian Johnson did. So don't be surprised if you get another Star Wars movie or Star Wars series with, of course, The Acolyte, The Last Jedi. These movies and series are because Kathleen Kennedy went out there, just hired a bunch of people who don't actually like Star Wars. They pretend to like what Star Wars is, but they want to change it because they have a new vision. And we get garbage like The Acolyte and The Last Jedi and so much more. I mean, The Rise of Skywalker takes the cake, of course. We heard it yesterday, folks. George Lucas said it. It doesn't matter how much of a budget you have or what stars are attached to the project. What matters is being artistic, coming from your heart, being emotional about what you create. These people don't really care about Star Wars. They are egotistical to the point where they try to change, to skew an already made IP. This is what I see. It's Dave Filoni doing stuff with Star Wars, with what he has, what he created with George, and Kathleen Kennedy trying to go against all of what Dave and Jon Favreau are doing. It's a weird situation, but I think that Hayden Christensen is that band-aid that we all need. So I'm so glad that he's filming so much for Ahsoka Season 2, and I'm excited for that next chapter to see what they will do with it. Alright, you guys, I'm out. Leave your comments down below. We'll talk to you later.